you and me sharing the stage together. That's going to happen in due time. I know it's all facts. I know it, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Yeah, check it out, man. This is your boy Akon, and right now you're tuned in to the Millionaire Student Show with my man, Sashin Govender.
Yo, it's Rich the Kid on the Millionaire Student Show.
Hi, I'm Ariani Celeste, and you're tuning in to the Millionaire Student Show.
What's up, y'all? Tune into the Millionaire Student Show with Andy Milonakis.
Yo, this your boy Soulja Boy, and you tuned into the Millionaire Student Show with Sasha. Keep it locked right here. Yeah, check it out, man. It's your boy Akon. Listen, all you millionaire students out there, make sure y'all tying up with my man and follow Retire Sashin Govender. Trust me, you might want this jewel.
We're on the Millionaire Student Show with Sashin Govender and a fellow brother from Africa, and I feel like home, man, because I'm in a first world country right now, and you know, sitting next to someone who I could relate to, who we come from, you know, the same not really the same background, but the same environment. So if you don't know him, I would call him a living legend, purely based on the fact that, you know, the qualities of life that, you know, I live by: health, wealth, spirituality, and relationships. Every single box is ticked. You know, Akon, born and raised in Missouri, and born in Missouri and then lived out in Senegal. So I'm from South Africa, Senegal. Once again, average income in Africa is about $200 to $300 a month. Singer, songwriter, record producer, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and an actor. And, you know, once again, created his own label. And this is what gets my attention because, you know, 36 awards won and 95 nominations is absolutely no joke. They say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And the track record never lies. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited to have you on the Millionaire Student Show. So a bit about your story, because, you know, I've been looking into you from, well, let's go back to when I was 18 years old, when I first got involved in business. I would be sitting down, writing down my ideas, creating this app, but your songs playing in the background, getting me pumped up, getting me motivated. Who is the real Akon?
I don't know. I guess it would depend on what you're talking about as far as to what part or what role I would play in somebody's life. But I know me, like even me, every day I'm learning more about myself. So I'm still trying to identify my main role on earth in so many words. But ultimately I just do where my heart takes me. You know what I mean? Ultimately it's always a feeling that I just follow. It starts with me just having a passion for something. Then I do it because I love to do it. And then I realized because I do it so much, you know, I got great at it. Then people pay me for those services that I'm great at.
Yeah.
And then I utilize that service to now maximize that, you know, service to create bigger opportunities, and then those opportunities open up more opportunities for me to do things that actually make a difference. And I think when you figure out how to layer opportunities, you can layer them in a way to where that opportunity becomes opportunities for other people. And I think that, and I always looked at it like that. As long as you put people in position, you'll always be in position.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and you know, one of the greatest motivational speakers out there says, if you help enough people get what they want from life, you get what you deserve.
Absolutely.
So when you make it about other people, it just, you know, you get rewarded in other ways. You know, a lot of people, I mean, I got a good following in Europe and a good following in Asia and a good following in North America, but a lot of people, they just don't understand that African background. They don't understand that third world work ethic, the third world environment. Your background, how tough was it?
Well, you know, what's interesting is at the time when I was going through it, it didn't seem tough because it was normal. It was every day. You know, living in Africa, growing up with no water and no electricity was normal. You know, we use candles, kerosene lamps, and for water we go down to the well or the local river and, you know, dunk up a bucket full of water, let it settle until there's all the waste at the bottom, and then you just peel from the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it seemed normal. Like, you don't realize that that's a low way of living until you're upgraded to a different
You
status
come out
of
to
living.
something like this in Beverly Hills.
Prime example, you
Yeah.
know, from 8 to 12, that living was normal until I got on a plane and came to the United States and seen a whole nother culture of value. Like, I didn't even understand what all this was, high-rise buildings and airplanes,
Yeah.
and that was like the Jetsons for me, you know what I mean? So I never really knew what I was missing until I came to a place like America and saw the differences of what we didn't have back home, you know, relating to what we was utilizing on a day-to-day basis and how much value that was to me up until I saw something better.
And that transition, I mean, moving from Africa, you know, where the lifestyle is, you know, dirt cheap, and, you know, a few $100s goes a long way. And then you come out here, as much as the life is, you know, first world, expenses started to flourish as well. And now we got to find other means of income to maintain and sustain that lifestyle.
Well, I think that's a lot of those are a lot of miscalculations that a lot of foreigners make, you know, especially Africans, because what happens is they all are motivated by this dream that you come to America or you go to Europe, you know, it's paradise and it's better opportunities, which is true to an extent.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you come here, and then, like you said, expenses are a lot higher. The cost of living is like skyrocketing. It's nowhere close to what you bring in to America to even start a basic, you know, lifestyle, let alone a business or whatever that may be. So now you're struggling in America to send money back home, and you can rarely even send money back home because you got to be able to keep up your basic lifestyle here just to make enough money to send back.
Correct, yeah.
So it's almost like you leave out of an almost good situation to come here and be in a hole like 100 times. So now you're working forever just to get back home. You can't even afford a ticket back home at that point.
Yeah, and what's
You know?
crazy is and this is what after watching some of your videos and personal development and looking into you more detail, we both have this fear of going back to where we initially were. And that's why we work as hard as we are. I mean, I'm half your age, but I take a lot of inspiration and motivation from the fact that you're still grinding. You're still working.
Yeah.
And that's where the tagline I was telling you, you know, work like you broke. No matter who you are, where you're from, what your background is, what your net worth is, what car you drove here with, work like you broke.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the scariest feeling to live according to a certain amount of money in your bank account.
Yeah.
Because what happens is people get very comfortable. And one thing I've realized just by looking from experience, I remember when I first got into the music business, a lot of the people that I looked up to, who at the time were like these huge superstars,
Yeah.
filthy rich mansions, beautiful cars. And as I'm on my way up, I'm seeing all of them going down. It's
Crazy.
and it's the scariest feeling when you're sitting in your living room and someone you looked up to is sitting there asking you to sign them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you're such and such. Like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
How is this possible? You know, that's the scariest part. And then number two, my granddad always told me, he said, listen, if the day you get in a position where you actually make money, figure out a way to invest it to where that money works for you.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of people don't realize is that, yes, I may make $1 million today, but let's just say if that's all the million I would make, I would have to figure out a way to where that million can last me a lifetime.
Yeah. Residually. You got to create something that pays you whether you work here or not.
Either that or manage that million as if that's the last million you're going to receive. Because people don't realize that the money you make have to last you a lifetime. So the first thing we go do is go buy a house, go buy a car, go buy it. But that money has to last you a lifetime.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Without a
So
doubt.
people don't get that concept. And I'm clear that, okay, if I make, I don't care if it's 20 grand, that money's going to last me at least 12 months.
Yeah. So you're not
Period.
living poverty. You know you have it.
You have to live
but-
a distance.
Exactly. So I teach people, you know, save 10%, invest 10%, and go out there and, you know, give back 10%. If you can't save 10% today when you're making $10,000, you'll never save it when you're making,
That's
you know,
for sure.
10 million.
That's
If you
for sure.
can't give away 10% to charity whilst you're making $1,000, you'll never give it back, you know, when you're making $1 million. And then the other 60%, 60 to 70% invested in your brand to build yourself back up.
Yep.
And so let's go back to the music industry because that's what most people know you as. And then you transition later on into philanthropist and, business entrepreneur, music industry. There's a lot of people out there that get into the music industry. They're young, they get motivated by these things, they get motivated by the cars and the homes and the flashy stuff, and that's what takes them out the game. You get into the music industry, now your following starts to explode. You got people asking you for pictures. As much as you, this Akon star, in the back of your mind, you got to continuously tell yourself, hey, I'm just getting started. And that keeps you aligned. So tell me, what is that transition from a normal boy living in Africa to now the world knowing Akon?
That's actually a very interesting question because in many ways, even today, sometimes I forget that I'm Akon.
Yeah.
Like, as you can see, I move by myself. No
Love
security,
that. Yeah.
no entourage. Because what I realize is that when you move like that, two things happen. First, you get a lot of attention. And two, you're spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because for every person that's with you, their lifestyle, in so many words, is dependent on you because everyone you have, you can't have them working for free. You got to put them on
Correct.
some kind of retainer or salary. And then that's just to keep them working. But then there's always issues that come around that you can't just stand around and just watch it happen.
Yeah.
Because everyone has issues, everyone has problems, and everyone has emergencies. So when you calculate all of that in an overhead, you can't be the guy that don't help the people that help you. It's impossible. So don't take on anything that you're not willing to take full on. So when I take on an extra staff member or extra employee or a friend, I look at them like family. And that's just always who I've always been. I'm committed myself 100% to that relationship, regardless of what type of relationship it is. So that's responsibility that you also have to share. That's time you have to share. Finance you have to share. And knowledge that you have to share. So no matter how you look at it, when you're at a certain stable, like a certain status, you're going to always be giving, even if you don't see yourself physically doing it or asking yourself a question, should I do? You're going to be doing just out of obligation.
Yeah.
And that's why with artists, even when I'm doing specific type of philanthropy work or whatever, I never go out and like cheerlead for support.
Yeah.
Because I already know that majority of the people on my level or higher are already in a position where they're already giving.
Yeah.
They might not even know they're giving. But some people can reach outside of that shell and say, this is something I want to personally feel like I'm doing, or I feel like I'm obligated to have to do for a specific purpose, religion, or moral, compass. So ultimately, when good is done, it should be done from a place of, it has to feel genuine.
Yeah.
It
Like
can't
no
be done-
expectation.
No expectation. Like when I give with expecting nothing back in
Yeah,
return.
because when you expect, that's when I feel you let down. Because you're expecting, hey, one day someone's going to take care of me, and then, they don't meet that expectation.
Absolutely, because that's not why you should do it. Ultimately, like even in life and period, when you do anything, don't do it expecting anything back in return. Because guess what? For one thing I do know is when you do it the right way, you're going to be rewarded no matter what.
Yeah.
It's just how it works. And when you do it from a genuine place, that karma, if you believe in karma,
Yeah,
it
without a
always
doubt.
comes back, and it comes back in ways you never expected.
And what's so funny? Well, this is my view of things. I believe karma gets passed down. So your kids suffer from what you do. So if you're busy screwing people over, well, they're going to pay a price 10, 15, 20 years from today. And as much as we give back, we start to eliminate that karma. So mentors. I was always taught, find someone that has what you want, do what they do, say what they say, and you get what they get. And then later on in life, when I found 5 mentors when I was 8 years old, when I first got involved in personal development, but later on in life, I started to look at the 4 different pillars of life: health, wealth, spirituality, and relationships. And I delegated and found different mentors in different aspects. Who was your mentor growing up? Because now you have this virtual mentor. You have them on YouTube, you have them on social media, and then later on you start to transition and you say, hey, I'm a different Akon right now. And the mentor starts to change. So who was your mentor and who's currently your mentor? So who was your mentor and who's currently your mentor?
Well, my dad has always been my mentor since day one.
Yeah.
You know, my dad and my mother. Those are the two people that I always look up to, ask for any advice. And
I love that.
if there's, because ultimately they've traveled in places we'll never be able to see. Like my dad always said, you know, when you look at your elders a certain kind of way, you're blessed with information that you don't expect.
Yeah.
Because one thing that kids today don't understand is that your elder can, it's like, he gave me this metaphor that was very interesting. And I know that when you hear it, you'll clearly understand what I'm saying. He said, a child can open his eyes and see nothing. An elder can close his eyes and see everything.
Yeah.
And
Experience.
it's experience.
Yeah.
You know, and when you look at certain things that they bring to the table, yeah, they may be older, they may move a lot slower, and they may not move as fast as you expect it to be, but it'd be small little intricate conversations that just change your whole movement of how you even attack, approach, and even, you know, think of things. Like, because ultimately, like my dad was always one of them type of people, he never punished us.
Yeah.
He would just tell us.
But did he give you everything?
He gave me everything.
Okay.
I'm honestly, who I am today, I give him the credit for it.
Yeah.
Because he would tell us straight up, I mean, you know what's right, and you know what's wrong.
So if
I don't
you
have
mess
to
it up?
I don't have to tell you.
Yeah.
But just know that every decision you make, there's a consequence for it,
Yeah.
good
So you had the right upbringing.
or bad. And it's up to you. I won't have to punish you when you make the wrong decision. The punishment is coming, but it won't
Yeah.
be from me. It'll be from the decision. And you're going to feel it. It's simple as that. And believe me, when you approach like that, you're going to think about everything you do.
It's that foundation, though, because you had the right foundation that made you who you are today.
1,000%.
So there's a lot of people out there that their parents start to give them everything. Like I was, and I'm sure you were never given a credit card with upfront cash and, go spend as much as you want, first car, first home. And that's also, so your parents gave you enough to say, hey, hold on, Akon, here's the deal. There's enough. Now go work harder if you want more.
Well, I mean, to their credit, to a big extent, I think what they gave us was not more from a wealth standpoint. It was more from information and moral value. Because ultimately, my dad felt like as long as he properly advised us, we had a place and a roof over our head, and we had food, and we never went hungry, a job of repairing is done.
Yeah.
And I agree with them 100%, because what happens is parents get to the point where they feel guilty if they don't do certain things for their child, or the child wants something and you don't provide for him or her, that they feel this guilt that comes around them, but they're not understanding that this child eventually is going to grow up and become their own person. And how you treat them today will carve out the type of son or daughter you put out into that world.
Personal development has become one of the biggest assets for me. You know, I've never negotiated on how much of money I should spend towards personal development. And I'm very fortunate that my dad handed me The Secret by Rhonda Byrne when I was 8 years old. But are you big in personal development? Do you, to date, invest in personal development? Did it play a huge role in your foundation?
Well, I mean, like I think when it comes to personal development, like I kind of picked up late, because I didn't realize how much, you had to actually invest in yourself.
Yeah.
In the beginning, because I was such a hustler, I was always trying to figure out ways of how someone else can invest in me.
Yeah.
You know? Then later I started to realize, wait a minute, they're asking me questions I really can't even answer. So I got to figure this out. You know what I mean? And that's when it all hit me. Okay, I got to install myself with certain tools to be able to get certain things done.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen by them doing it, because I have to convince them that I'm worth developing or worth investing in. So that ultimately created a whole nother monster, because now it was about constant knowledge that I had to acquire. And then I had the money that I did make, I had to invest it back in myself to give myself those just basic tools to where whoever I talk to, I can convince them on what I need invested in, or at least give them the assurance that investing in me is a smart idea. So I think that idea of, developing or personal development is very important in many ways, because there's so many areas and so many sectors that you have to be quick. You have to be able to understand, you have to be able to speak the lingo, you have to be able to, relate in many different ways, especially when it's speaking of business. Even if it's in sports, you have to train if you want to be great. I've never seen a Michael Jordan that didn't train constant all day, or Kobe Bryant that wasn't always on the court, or LeBron James where his teammate didn't say he was the hardest working man in basketball. These guys got those skill sets by constantly developing themselves, so it's extremely important.
Yeah, and people nowadays, I wish it was taught in school. I genuinely wish personal development was a subject in school, building up people from the ground floor, their foundation, because it could help you in your relationship. It can help you in your finances, and I'm sure it even helped you in your music. You took that into the lyrics of your songs, and you dug so deep into inspiring people on why your music is not just, a club track, but something that can inspire people out there.
No, you're 100% correct. I think it should be a part of a curriculum. I think two things that need to be a part of basic, curriculums is, of course, personal development and skill set. Because ultimately, we go to school, they give us all this knowledge, but then there's no skills to back up the knowledge. So you don't have no physical skill, but you have the knowledge. You're walking away with 10 degrees with no skill set.
Yeah.
And then personal development is a whole nother animal within itself, because that definitely needs to be taught, and I think that being added to the curriculum will definitely change the way the world is shaped in a bigger way.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know what they say, knowledge is not powerful, application is.
1000%.
The A's and the B's are always working for the C's and the D's. Yeah. What were you, an A student, B, C?
I don't even know.
I was D. I was like literally
I
from the bottom up.
It's crazy, I was never a fan of like grades and accolades, ever. Because I always felt like when you are who you are and you do what you do, no one can tell me different. I don't care what the polls tell you.
Yeah.
Like, you can say whatever you want to say, but like you said, the numbers don't
don't
lie. You know what I mean? So I never really, because I was one of the kind of, and I shouldn't say this out loud because there's a lot of kids watching, but I just say I was gifted. But I was one of the kids that rarely went to school.
Yeah.
But I would show up every test day and pass.
That's crazy.
Because I would always make sure I was there at the beginning of the week when the meat of the sessions was actually being articulated by the teacher. And I just knew, okay, that's the basis of this whole thing. And I got it. By the time next Friday came, test was running, I just remember the beginning of the class, because the beginning of the class is always the meat. Everything else is the fluff around the meat.
Exactly.
Right? And it always worked out. Which is weird, but it worked out.
You rose to fame and gained success before the advent of social media, with platforms like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc. being so important today. How did you transition and adapt your brand digitally?
I'm still having a hard time adapting into the digital world. I understood it from a standpoint of crowd engagement and fan connection. But I'm still probably the dumbest student in digital. I can actually admit that, because I know for sure I could be a lot better if I had the time.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
you got so good right now where you built up your career, where you can pay people and delegate them to handle specific stuff on social media.
And I'm guilty of that, because I know for a fact if I took the time to do it myself, I'll be the best at it.
Without a doubt.
I know this. I know this, but I just don't have the time to do it. But I understand it better than anything. It's just what needs to be done, I know needs to be done, but I'm a victim of time. And right now, time is more valuable than money to me. Yeah. But I don't have enough of it. You know what I'm saying? So I was blessed to have, and what's crazy is that when you look at my socials, my fans are what keeps my social platforms alive. Like, they do all the posting for me. They do all the connecting. That's crazy. Do all, literally, I have a community of fans that just keep my stuff going. Yeah. And And there's DM me all the time, Akon, post this. Oh, this is dope, we found this. Dude, oh, did you get the pictures from this event? And they just share it with me, and I just post it.
Yeah. And you're so humble to reach out to them or to read them, the messages. A lot of people get so phased around a few million followers. And that's what I'm actually, in my new book that I'm about to launch, called The Millionaire Student, one of my chapters is online versus offline. Online meaning, you know, the millennials are so good at, you know, cell phones, iPads, and then the baby boomers are very good at offline. And I'm trying to make that let's find a mutual ground where you have online versus online, you get online versus offline, you get good at working hard, working like you're broke, but also taking it digitally.
Got it. That's going to be a tough bridge to cross.
Yeah.
Because the offline, and then you got online. Online is just working smarter.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's just simply working smarter. Offline, you're definitely working harder.
Yeah.
Like, way
But
harder.
there was days where you were pulling
But
like, what, 16 hours?
To the offline credit, as smart as the online community is, the offline is a lot more secure.
Yeah. Old school.
Old school is way more secure than today from a standpoint of security when it comes to documents and top secret, certain things. The offline is more comfortable to work because the fact that this generation has been so absorbed to the online world, where everything is transparent to an extent that it's almost like the IRS with cash. They can't detect cash.
Yeah.
But they can detect anything
It comes
on
in and
paper.
goes out. Yeah.
Right? So so there's advantages and disadvantages depending on how and what area is being approached. You follow what I'm saying? But me, if I had a choice to secure, from a security standpoint, because online is so popular, I think the best secure way to secure certain things is offline.
Yeah. Especially nowadays.
Especially
You
nowadays.
got to collab those two.
100%. Because I would definitely grab an old Motorola flip phone today before I get an iPhone if I wanted a security conversation.
I love that. And once again, it goes back to humility, being humble, because a lot of people don't want to be seen with, you know, those old technology. But I got a business partner. He lives in the UK. He's got a Nokia 3310, yet he drives 7 Aston Martins.
Interesting.
So once again, if the phone can make a if the phone can make a call and you can close a deal, that's all you need in today's day and age. I'm excited about this because I want to be able to work with you on this. The Akon, you know, Lighting Africa. I know in 2014, your goal was to provide electricity, and you did it in 15 countries in Africa?
Yeah, 16
countries in Africa. You raised $1 billion.
Yep.
And your aim was to, you know, obviously provide 600 million people electricity, which you've done. But it always comes back from your upbringing because you didn't have that. How did you get the inspiration for Akon Lighting, and do you think you'll expand this project, you know, around the world? How did you get the inspiration for Akon Lighting, and do you think you'll expand this project, you know, around the world? I know you just said you tapped into South America.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's another thing that was very interesting, and that was one of the situations that kind of, something that I didn't foresee.
Yeah.
Like, I never, ever expected myself to be in the energy business. That was the last thing I was thinking, but, you know, when you grow up in a certain environment and you are a hustler, you never really know where you're gonna land.
Yeah.
And the lighting part came and started as a philanthropic concept. You know, the old area where I was raised in Kaolack, which is in Dakar, Senegal, there was no electricity and no running water in that particular area because I used to go visit my grandma. And you know, grandparents are very stubborn. They don't like to move from the family house. So I got successful, wanted to go back and move my grandmother from that area and push her into the city.
Yeah.
And she refused to go. So I said, okay, let me at least be able to provide or give you electricity and some hot running water. If I don't do anything else, at least let me do that. She said, no problem. But getting hot water wasn't as bad, but getting electricity, on the other hand, was completely out the question. Because the original, the grid that was, pretty much designed for the city just couldn't reach that far out. And it would have cost billions and billions of dollars to extend the grid back into that area. So I had to find a nice compromise. And that's when I started doing a lot of research and realized that, at the time, the Chinese had invested billions of dollars into solar products for the United States, but couldn't use it in that area because of the fact that it was a 200% tariff on all solar products coming from China into America. So the Chinese were stuck with all this product, all these facilities and factories that they could not even use for America, that were just sitting there because it wouldn't make sense to try to push it in. And I looked at that as an opportunity. So I took a trip to, to China, met with one of the biggest solar producers there and said, listen, you guys got all this product sitting here. We could do some work. Let me get that. I'll flow it into Africa. That's a brand new market that you guys gain. The people get light. You guys get new business, new territory, and you don't lose that investment. And that's something that can be worked out. And I was able to get and secure that $1 billion credit line for, solar products all throughout Africa, and that's how we started the project.
I love that, man. Just having the ability to give back, because it's vital to give back. We spoke about that earlier. So when I looked at my entire career, I broke it down into 3 phases: adversity, prosperity, and a plateau in life. So you go through adversity in your health, in your wealth, spirituality, relationships. You go through prosperity as well. But sometimes when your health is going through prosperity, your wealth goes through adversity. So we go through this whole roller coaster. And I know in 1999 to 2002, you went through a bit of adversity. You went to prison for 4 years, but you've come out of that and made it one of the biggest turnarounds from the midst of adversity, turning that into prosperity. And, there's a lot of people right now that are going through adversity. A lot of people that are feeling pain deep down. A lot of people that are sitting on their bed right now. I had a friend, commit suicide about 4 days ago. But there's someone there that just needs that push to say, hey, hold on. You are not worse off than the guy that's dying on their deathbed right now. You have an able mind, able body, able soul. What are you going to do about it? What advice would you give them?
Well, one thing I can say, it could always be worse. One thing I did learn, and this is through experience, is that when you're going through something that crazy, it's only because God is protecting and preparing you for something greater. I always felt like, even from a standpoint of just pain and struggle, these things and these are a part of our bodily senses. We're supposed to experience this. It's not supposed to be a bad thing. Pain was used as a form of discipline. And this is how we're aligned to know to move left or move right or learn. Because if that fire is hot and you stick your finger in it, that pain signals you that that's a hot piece of burning whatever that is. So you learn from that. So you apply that pain and that struggle as a learning mechanism. Don't look at it as it's a bad thing. Just understand that whatever you're going through right now in that painful environment is because there was something that you've done or a decision you made that allowed you to go through that pain. So you know not to make that decision again to experience that pain. No different from knowing that's a piece of burning wood and you stick your finger in there and touch it. You know, okay, I'm feeling that pain because I made that decision. So pain doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just wake up and it's painful. That struggle that you're dealing with stems from decisions made in your life that led you to that point. So now you have to backtrack and figure out what are the decisions that was made that allowed me to be in this position. So now let me revert these decisions and put myself out of that box and get to a place that's more pleasant. So never look at pain as something bad. Look at it as a learning mechanism.
Learning lesson,
And that's how you have to see it, because otherwise you're going to be depressed all your life. You're going to be looking at life in a way that you shouldn't look at it, because it won't allow you to advance, because most people dwell on that pain. You're sad, you're not active, you're not productive, all because you're dwelling within that sadness, And I've realized that God has a great way of allowing you to go through certain phases to get you to a better place. I've never seen anything great come without struggle.
Yeah, and the people who go through the most amount of pain, they have the most amount of desire to get out of it and turn it into prosperity.
1,000%.
So this is just me and you, one-on-one, no cameras, no one listening, some personal advice. 24 years old right now, $300,000 to $500,000 a month in income, owning 20 different businesses, speaking in front of 25,000 people. Talk to me, some advice. Just me and you.
Keep
no
doing
one
what you're
else.
doing. You're doing great. Like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
And do more of it.
Just keep doing what you're doing. 'Cause
Don't
guess
change
what?
anything.
Can I tell you something? Whenever you're doing the right thing, don't get greedy.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing, whenever you're doing it right, it's going to expand naturally. So don't try to do more. Just do what you can handle. And then as you go, you're going to naturally build with the growth. But most people, that success, they get greedy and want to grow faster, want to be the biggest. And those are the ones that always end up falling down when things were just going the way it's supposed to go. And I was always a fan of knowing at the end of the day, you can't rush your own destiny.
Yeah.
Things happen when God wants it to happen, not because, or when you want it to happen.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So right now you're in a great place. You're not starving. You're definitely not hungry. People around you are comfortable. Friends are happy, I hope.
Yeah.
You're happy. You're healthy. That means you're doing everything right. How much more in life do you actually want?
Yeah. Well, my aim is, of course, I want to make it to the Forbes list. It's natural to make it to the Forbes list, and the Forbes list is calculated by the amount of income you have to your name, net worth. Mm-hmm. But I want to be on the Forbes list of how many people's lives I've impacted and changed. That's how I want it to be calculated. And I think people should start transitioning on how they look at things and stop looking at people as a dollar sign, but let's look at how we can transition their life, change their life, and let's start changing the world by not individuals' finances, but how many people did you change? How many success stories have you created?
But why Forbes? You think Forbes is going to tell that story for you?
Well, I'm thinking bigger than Forbes. But if Forbes ever had to audit it, I don't want them to audit me on just income. I want them to audit me based on the amount of lives we've managed to change. Forbes is just, someone, a high authority that people look up to. We're going beyond Forbes. If we're going to change the world, it's every single... I still believe we want to change the city, or we're going to change ourselves first. The minute we can change ourselves, we make a better city. The minute the city is better, changes the country. Then it changes the continent, it changes the world. Last question.
Well, we're still on that question.
Okay, go for it.
So, why Forbes again?
Well,
Because, the reason why I asked you is
Yeah.
because you were so passionate. It's like, I want to be on the Forbes list. And I just have to understand, why do you feel that recognition from Forbes completes that action?
Well, just not to be recognized by the income, but by the fact that I'm associated with Jeff Bezos, with my mentors, my virtual mentors, like Bill Gates, like Warren Buffett. I look at Warren Buffett and I watch his documentary, and I was very fortunate to meet him. Mm-hmm. And that's who I want to articulate. That's who I want to emulate from all values. I don't want to just be recognized on Forbes, but I want to be in that inner circle of association, that power of association on who I'm rubbing shoulders with. That's my goal. That's my aim. Forbes is just a third party that we attach to.
Let's say hypothetically you reach that goal,
Yeah.
and those guys are like, oh, he's just a South African kid. He's got lucky.
Yeah.
And they don't recognize it. They actually believe that you're in their way. How would you feel?
Well, at the end of the day, I'm still aligned. I'm still mentally focused. I'm not doing it for them. I've still got to look at the light at the end of the
So
tunnel.
it's going to be at that point where you realize you're not doing it for them.
It's just a bucket list, a check. Hey, we got this, or we got that. There's always
But
another level, though.
You do see where I'm going,
without
right?
a doubt. Yeah.
Okay. Allow your goal, because right now you just want to make sure that you're recognized to an extent. I won't say, let me rephrase it. You want that satisfaction of everyone knowing that you did it.
No, I want that satisfaction that everyone knows that I impacted the world.
That you-
Not income, the
Okay.
world.
Got it. That you impacted the world. The only way that's going to happen is if you do it without expecting anything back in return.
Yeah.
Because that's when the true impact is made. Because not only will Jeff Bezos see it, Warren Buffett see it, Donald Trump see it, and everybody else see it, God is going to see it.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, it won't even be them to spread that word. You'll become their mentors because they
Without a doubt.
had, and plenty till this day have, the opportunity to do more than what they're doing now. Because all those billions that they've made, they just sit in banks, investment corps, Wall Street, foundations. The money just turns itself back around, but it's not trickling down to the people that really need it. Because it only takes, from my research, $5 billion to eradicate hunger in the world. $5 billion. That's all it takes. If you allow $5 billion to rotate itself back to the people that really need it, there'll be no more hunger left in this world. $5 billion. These people are worth 20, 30 times more than that.
Yeah.
So that could be done if it was wanting to be done. But it goes back to the business being in front of humanity again. You follow what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you can be a multi-billionaire in the Forbes list all day, but your money does nothing but sit there and collect interest and
Correct.
continue to build. But
Yeah.
if you're not utilizing that to really do something to really impact, and your key word was impact, and that's what you really want to be known for doing, the day you do it, the impact will tell impactors
And that's
that
what
you
you're
did
doing
the
with that
impact.
whole 1 billion.
Period.
I love that. Because it makes me think twice, because now we transition from a money goal to a creation goal.
That's it.
So when you pass on, what do you want people to know you as or remember you as?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like my actions is going to tell that story for me. And I think when you look at certain people in life, they didn't have to say it. The people spread that for them. Like, honestly, I would be interested to know what is being told.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I can say that I would want to know is the day I do pass forward, if I can at least have that spiritual pleasure to know or feel what people are saying about me. Because they know and feel things that I probably was guessing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I'm excited for the future. And most importantly, I visualize it. And, you know, whatever I visualize just starts to manifest. And I see 20, 30, 40,000 people, stadium, filled out, personal development event, inspiring the whole of Africa, inspiring the whole world, you and me sharing the stage together. That's going to happen in due time. I know
Oh,
it for a
done.
fact.
It's
I
gonna
know
happen.
it, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
The ultimate aim here is, I appreciate your time on the Millionaire Student Show, the one, the only, my brother from another mother, from Africa, Akon. Appreciate it, brother.
And just so you know, what you're doing with the show is making a bigger impact than you know.
Thank you.
It's a great, great, great impact. I
Appreciate it. The Millionaire Student Show. Check me out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram with my brother Akon.
What's going on?
African brothers in the house.
That's right.
Let's go. And I'm actually with Dr. Ben in his chiropractic office here in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And